Congressman Anthony Brindisi standing by on the line right now. Congressman, good morning.
Good morning, Bill, and everyone.
Before we get into this, a couple of quick things I want to throw at you. I know you've had a few opponents pop up on the Republican side. I think there's 3 right now. Might be 4. CNBC did an interview with Claudia Tenney. Interestingly, she said that she's leaning towards running, and that the National Republican Committee knows that she's the only one that can win this thing. What are your thoughts?
Well, look, like I said last time, I'm still focused on the job, and there'll be plenty of time for politics, and it's up to the primary voters to decide who they want to be their nominee. But I think if I continue to do the job effectively, then we'll have no problem next year, and we'll take whoever the opponent is against us.
Yesterday, you did vote. You did vote on the Democratic denouncement of President Trump's tweets. Can you talk about that and and why you voted that way yesterday?
Well, as I had said, I thought that the president's tweets were harmful. They were offensive. The same way I called out members of my own party, like Ilhan Omar, for some of her anti-Semitic comments that she has made in the past. I think you should be able to put party aside on this stuff and be able to call everything on a case-by-case basis for what it is. If an elected official uses a social media platform or any platform to say something that's harmful or offensive or anti-Semitic, the members on either side of the aisle should be able to call it out and not worrying about offending their parties. So that's why I did that yesterday, and I'll continue to speak out against members of my own party when they say things that are offensive, or members of the other party when they say things that are offensive.
All right, let's talk about the other issue. It's a story in today's Observer Dispatch. It's a story that I first saw last Friday, and this is something that I think your predecessor was trying to pull off, Claudia Tenney, back when the House was Republican, and it didn't quite make it. It seems to have made it under your tenure. And that is a pretty big deal for a nearby business when it comes to flatware. Talk about what happened, this act here.
Well, it's called the Support Procurement of Our Nation's Stainless Steel Act, or SPOONS Act. And really what it does is it restores a longstanding precedent that the Department of Defense should be doing Buy America, purchasing American-made flatware for our soldiers. And that amendment was taken away back in 2007 when our domestic flatware production went down. But now we have great domestic flatware companies like Sherrill Manufacturing and Liberty Flatware. So I worked hard to really push this amendment through our National Defense Authorization Act, because I think it's a national security interest. I think that our Department of Defense, and quite frankly, any federal agency that's spending taxpayer dollars on products, should be purchasing American-made products first, supporting American manufacturing, American workers, because they are going to be paying taxes in this country. Those taxes go to fund our military and other programs. I'd rather see that money going to American-made manufacturers than Chinese-made manufacturers to support the Chinese economy. As long as the American product is same quality and market prices, then we should be buying from American manufacturers.
I got to tell you, I think that Liberty, Sherrill Manufacturing, might be the only American manufacturer of flatware left in the United States. This could be a pretty enormous contract for this company in Sherrill.
Well, they're a great company. I spoke to the folks at Sherrill after I got elected and asked if they wanted us to continue with this bill, and they did, and we were very happy to get it passed in the House. And now we're working with our colleagues in the Senate to include it in the Senate's version of the Defense Authorization Act. And although they may be the only company, it does affect a pretty substantial supply chain. So it's going to affect other companies as well here in the country.
Yeah.
And the whole point is just support American manufacturing, support American workers. That's where our taxpayer dollars should be going, not overseas.
I want to, and that just makes sense. I don't know how the Senate wouldn't. You're quite confident this goes through the Senate and they adopt this as well?
I hope so.
Yeah.
We had some opposition in the House to this. There's some folks, especially the ranking member on the Armed Services Committee, who was pretty vocal in his opposition, as he has been in the past. And, he argued it wasn't a national security interest to tell DOD where to purchase their flatware. And as I said, I just disagree. I think I want DoD, Department of Defense, purchasing flatware and other products from American manufacturers because those workers pay taxes in this country, which goes to support our military. That's a national security interest to me. It's not in our national security interest to spend our taxpayer dollars on Chinese manufacturers or other countries,
right,
which is going to support their military. So why not spend that money here? As long as the product is of good quality, and I will say that our products here in this country are superior quality to anything overseas. And as long as the prices are market prices, we're not paying more, not forcing DOD to pay more for it, then they should buy American.
Greg Owens is with Sherrill Manufacturing. Of course, they produce their flatware under the Liberty Tabletop brand, and he's on the line right now. Greg, thanks for coming on. This is big news. What are your thoughts?
Good morning, Bill. Nice to be here. We're very excited. Like Anthony just said, we've been at this for several years trying to get this bill through, and he and his awesome staff, got a shout out to them, got this done. And I'm actually down here in D.C. All week, going around Capitol Hill, trying to convince some of those who voted against the amendment when it passed the House to change their minds. And I'm having a little bit of success with many of the arguments that Anthony Brindisi just laid out on the Buy America side. I'm turning a couple heads, getting a lot of good nods, and hopefully we'll switch a couple votes and make sure that this gets through conference on the reconciliation side.
I got to tell you, Greg, it just makes sense if we're spending money with American companies. That money stays in America. It then can be reinvested. And in one place where that gets reinvested is in our military. It is about national security.
Well, it is. And this, of course, is all tied back to the steel industry, specifically stainless steel, and that's the main raw material for our product.
Yeah.
Back in 2004, when Oneida decided to close down their factory, it was because of a very ominous conclusion that they came to, and that was that they could buy product made in China, landed in a box, already packaged up, FOB Long Beach, cheaper than they could buy the steel to make it with here in the United States. And the reason for that is that the Chinese state-owned enterprises, the government owns the steel mills, offer steel to their industry at rates as little as half of what it is on the going market. That's to give them a clear advantage over everybody else.
Yeah.
It builds up their industry. It builds up their industrial base. And, of course, that is the foundation of any military industrial base. Mm-hmm. So that conversation right there has raised a lot of eyebrows on Capitol Hill this week, and hopefully we'll switch a couple opinions.
What are your thoughts, Anthony? Do opinions get switched here?
I think so. We were successful in switching some minds that had voted against the bill in previous years. Greg is doing a great job, talking to members on both sides of the aisle, trying to convince them. We're going to push, and our staff's going to push on the Senate side and try and work with our New York State senators. So they're pushing to put it into the Senate version of this legislation, and I think Greg lays out the perfect case as to why it's important to support American workers and American manufacturing companies. Just as the president has said, the president, I would say, has been one of the biggest proponents of American manufacturing and bringing jobs back to this country. So I know that this is something that if we can get it to him, I'm pretty confident he would support it.
Yeah.
But it's got to get through the Senate in the same manner it's got through the House. And let's do something good for companies in our country and stop trying to send jobs overseas.
Pretty big. And, Greg, do you have any idea if this thing goes through and it all moves as planned, what type of contracts you guys could be looking at and what that would mean in terms of the success for your company and, of course, what it would mean when it comes to jobs?
Yes. Well, one of the things that I've been mentioning to folks is we've had a DOD contract for over 10 years. Mm-hmm. We sold about $10 million worth of product to the military. Back in the day when Oneida had that, it was about 4 times the size of what it is now.
Wow.
And that's because there have been many loopholes opened up in Buy American laws, in the Berry Amendment and the Buy America Acts from the 70s. that have allowed, through a decentralization process, DoD, to, if they want some knives, forks, and spoons, they get onto Walmart or the dollar store.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're trying to close that loophole up and expand our business. It's really cool when you go downstairs. And mainly what we sell right now is to the Navy, and you see a box or a series of boxes sitting on a pallet ready to go out the door, and it has the actual name of the ship where it's going.
Wow.
It's a source of pride to our employees, and we would like to see that business go from $1 million to $3 million. And that, of course, would mean adding personnel, perhaps even a second shift. So we're excited that this is going to make it through.
Congressman, there's this is there's nothing better than increasing revenues for a local company, and then the possibility of increasing another shift. That would be that'd be pretty big news.
Yeah, I think Greg hit the nail right on the head. Look, there is a source of pride here too for the workers, and I wasn't even thinking about that, but I can imagine that if you're a worker at Sherrill Manufacturing or any American-made manufacturer, and you're doing something or making a product that's going to go to support our brave men and women who are serving in the armed forces, there's an extra sense of pride that you get on the job, and it just makes things a little bit more meaningful, especially in our community, which is so supportive of our military and our veterans. This is a win-win for the country and our community, and I hope we can get it over the finish line.
All right. Good luck on getting it over the finish line. Congressman, thanks so much, and congratulations. Greg, thank you as well. And listen, we should all be looking and supporting you guys out there in Sherrill as much as we all can. So when we're buying flatware for our homes, that we're buying it from you guys.
We appreciate every bit of it.
All right, Greg, thanks so much. And Congressman, we appreciate it. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Greg.
Right. That's pretty big news. And it must, how when you see a Saranac, you're somewhere else and you see a Saranac, there's this element of pride. They have that same pride when you see a spoon or a fork that was made right here. Pretty cool. Got a break at WIBX.